Once, there was a young boy named Jade. He lived in a small single room with his little sister. Their parents had died in a car crash the previous year, and because of this, Jade had to drop out of school so he could work and take care of his little sister. He managed to get a job at a local newspaper factory where he distributed newspapers to the locals. With this job, Jade earned just enough money to pay rent and survive on 3 slices of bread and milk every day. Since he had dropped out of school, he was determined to send his little sister back to school and work hard to pay her fees and bills. Jade had to work overtime at the local newspaper factory to earn more for their expenses. One day, Jade received a letter from the factory informing him that he had been fired from his job for some unknown reason. Heartbroken, he decided to look for another job to continue paying rent and his sister's school fees. However, after weeks of searching, he faced multiple rejections from the locals. Despite this, Jade never gave up. After weeks of failure, he decided to start his own newspaper business using the little savings he had from his previous job. But Jade was filled with doubts. He knew he had little chance of success, since there were already many established newspaper retailers and factories in the town. He considered abandoning the idea, but Jade realized that quitting meant he and his sister would have to starve and possibly end up on the streets, unable to afford rent and daily expenses. With no other options, Jade decided to seek advice from his old uncle, who lived in a distant town. The next morning, he set out on the journey. It was arduous, miles of walking under the scorching sun, sweat dripping down his cheeks, but eventually he arrived at his uncle's humble home. He found his uncle in the backyard, practicing archery. After greeting him, Jade explained his plan to start a newspaper business but admitted that he was afraid that his idea of starting a newspaper business wouldn't work out. Jade explained to his uncle that he couldn't risk his hard-earned savings on a business that might not succeed. His uncle listened attentively, wisdom reflected in his eyes. Without saying a word, he handed Jade a bow and an arrow, pointing toward a distant target and instructing him to shoot. Jade looked at his uncle in confusion and said, "But uncle, I'm not an archer, and I can't even hit a target that's only a foot away from me. How am I supposed to hit a target at such a distance?" His uncle smiled and replied, "Choosing not to shoot the arrow means you've already decided not to hit or miss at all. But if you allow yourself to try, you might end up hitting the target. In life, before you can succeed at anything, you will always have to take the first step to be able to see what is lying ahead. You will always need to take the unknown step even if the outcome is unpredictable." The uncle continued, "When you take the first step, success is always possible, because when you see your failures, you learn from them and adjust your approach. If you never give yourself the chance to fail, you'll have nothing to improve upon. So instead of worrying about whether your business will succeed or fail, why not take the shot and adjust based on the results?" Jade understood his uncle's lesson. He realized that if he never started his business, he would never have the opportunity to learn and grow. But by allowing himself the permission of failure, he would also be granting himself the chance to succeed. Instead of overthinking, he decided to take action. Using his small savings, he started his business. Over time, he learned from his mistakes, improved his strategy, and eventually scaled up his business. Before long, Jade became the owner of one of the most successful newspaper factories in the town.